Welcome to the Beauty Business Playbook, the podcast for beauty, wellness, and aesthetic professionals who are ready to elevate their mindset, refine their systems, and step confidently into their CEO era. I'm your host, Jess Feldman, spa owner, consultant, and your guide to building a profitable, aligned, and standout business. Let's dive into today's episode. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. Today is going to be a little bit different. We're not talking so much strategy, but really just your mindset and how it can affect your business, your lifestyle. I mean, this is something that you can take into every part of your life, not just business. I am somebody that is constantly consuming content that I feel like can benefit my mind, body, spirit, business, whatever it is. And whether that is like a TED Talk or a podcast that has to do with health, wellness, business, branding, mindset, goals, all of that fun stuff, I am a sucker for it. And there's a lot of lessons in opening a business and helping other businesses get off their feet, start from scratch completely, or I go in and they've already been a developed business for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I've had businesses that are 15 years old, and I have to help them kind of reframe some of the mindsets going into how they're going to structure their business, what changes they need to implement, and so forth. So today we're going to just kind of chat about some of the lessons that I've learned, that I've seen other businesses learn as well, and that I've kind of helped implement into some other businesses too. And I just want to say too, I talk a lot about strategy, and that is so important. But the other 50% of the things that I do talk about and that I'm going to be talking about are always going to be mindset as well, because that's just as important. If you're going into something strategically, but you don't believe in it, you don't have the right mindset behind it, it's only going to go so far, right? You have to actually put your mind into it. You have to be in the right headspace to be able to implement it in a way that is actually going to benefit and drive your business. And a lot of the things that I'm talking about today, they're not things that can be really taught in a course. It's a lot of experience, right? It's things that come from just being and doing and living and experiencing struggles or really great, amazing, happy times in business, or in life in general. And so it's not something that I'm here to really like teach you, but it's more to talk about, and hopefully you can kind of start to see where there might be some beneficial shifts to kind of implement into your everyday life as well as your business strategy moving forward. Okay, this is actually one this is the most recent kind of thing that I have been thinking about as I'm struggling to fall asleep in the middle of the night. But the fact that nothing is a waste of time, and this is something that I'm actively working on, because I catch myself all the time thinking, oh my God, that was such a waste of time. Why did they have me do this? This was such a waste of time if they're not going to listen, if they're not going to implement it. There are times where I feel like I've wasted my time trying to teach a business a specific strategy or to implement a certain marketing game plan or something like that. They don't do it. And then I am sitting there like, wow, I feel like I just wasted all my time. And it took me a bit to kind of reflect on that and be like, why do I say to myself that my time is being wasted when there could have been a lesson in that? It was growth for me. I got a lot out of that. Even if they don't implement what I am talking to them about, what I'm trying to teach them, that's on them, right? Because that's on them to not take the action. They have all the tools. If they don't want to take the action, that's okay. I got more practice in. I was able to make connections with new people. There was opportunity there for me to learn from others and to grow my skill set. So it truly was not a waste of my time. So I really have been trying to restructure, reframe my way of thinking, and to stop saying, wow, I feel like I wasted my time, or that was such a waste of time, and to be able to dive into what I actually got out of it. I think that there's always some sort of lesson that we can find in pretty much anything that we do, and nothing is ever truly a waste of time unless you're literally just like sitting on the couch staring at the wall. But even then, right, we can reframe it. You might have needed a moment to reset. You might have needed a moment to meditate, to catch your breath if you're feeling overworked and burnt out. So just reframing the mindset that it's not a waste of time. There's something of value in that, especially if it's something that you're doing for somebody else, or maybe it's a campaign that you've run, right? So maybe you did a marketing campaign and you spent so much time, right, getting the content out there, getting the creative out there. You made a TikTok, you did all this stuff where it took so much time only to get no likes, no views, nobody responded to the ad, and you feel like you just wasted all your time. But you didn't. You learned what maybe wasn't working, what didn't resonate with your audience. You developed your skills further in marketing and ad creation and content creation. So it wasn't actually a waste of time. There have also been times where I've implemented a new service and, I spent all this time researching the product, researching how people may react to that service, and obviously the time and the money to be able to bring that on board, changing the menu, coming up with pricing, getting models in for the treatment so that we could get content. And that is very time consuming. And it might be that that service didn't really pan out. It didn't really hit. It's not a big seller. And I feel like not only did I waste money, but I wasted a lot of my time trying to bring that service into the business. And instead of thinking that I wasted so much time, I really try to restructure, reframe my way of thinking to, okay, I got to learn maybe what my clientele doesn't really gravitate towards. I got to get content out of it regardless because I had the model call. I was able to try a new product. I was able to get good feedback from my clients. And regardless, it was a lesson learned. It was data. So truly, it doesn't feel like it was a waste of time. But the only time that it truly is a waste is when you believe and you tell yourself and you say that it was a waste of time. But if you find something of value in it, then you don't have the weight of regret. It just makes you lighter, honestly. It makes you feel less burnt out, less stressed, and you feel like you actually made progress in what you did. So just remember that everything teaches you something, and the only thing that makes something a waste of time is you thinking that it was a waste of time. Okay, that kind of naturally leads us into the next one, and that is that mistakes are data. Use them. You can use your mistakes to further enhance and grow your business, to grow your life. Use what mistakes you have made as a lesson that can be learned, and this ties into what we just talked about, but separately, take all the mistakes that you've made in life, in business, and use them to your advantage. It is completely okay and it is very normal, and you should not feel like you are the only one who is making mistakes when it comes to, how you price yourself and your menu. If you maybe brought in a bunch of influencers and you got zero return on that time and potentially money investment, if you brought on a new service and maybe it didn't really do very well, if you hired somebody that you feel like ended up not really fitting in with your company, all of these, any mistake can be a lesson, and it is something that gives you data points in order to progressively move forward. Mistakes don't mean that you're failing. They show that you're actually paying attention, and what you do with the information that that mistake gives you is where it will make the biggest difference. That's what's going to set you apart from everybody else. I want you to focus on reframing your mindset around mistakes, that they aren't mistakes, they're actually feedback and information, and they give you a path for correction. Okay, moving on. You don't need more, you need better. You need more efficiency. We are in a environment where it's very easy to have shiny object syndrome because there are new treatments and products and devices constantly launching, and we have, reps coming and trying to sell us the best, latest, greatest, newest shiny object, right? And it's so easy to get caught up in that and to be like, wow, business has been slow this past month, and now there's this new exciting treatment, and maybe this is what we need to really get more on the books. And that just, most of the time, 99% of the time, is not the case. This is actually one of the things that will lead to you being burnt out, is feeling that constant need to keep up with everybody else, to keep up with the latest, the newest, the best. If you fall into that mindset trap, it is very hard to get out of it. Just remember that the biggest growth comes from refinement, not always expansion. So instead of blaming what you don't have as maybe being the reason why books are slow or whatever it might be, look inward to your systems. And this is where we talk a lot about having systems and strategy and your backbone and your mission, your values, all of that stuff that I talk so heavily about. But look inward instead of outward. There are a lot of things that you can constantly be elevating inside your practice or your salon, your spa, whatever it might be. There is a lot that can be improved upon that can make way more of a difference than just constantly aiming to get the newest technology or product. Some of those things are your consultation. Let's take a look at your consultation. Is it the best that it could be? Is the flow everything you've ever dreamed of? Is there any tweaks that we can make to your consultation to make sure that it is converting more of the clients that do come in? If you're running like a Meta ad or a Google ad or what have you, is that performing the best that it can be performing? Are there any tweaks that need to be made there? Is there a great call to action? Is there a great funnel system that you have in place? Are there any areas of your overall client experience that can be enhanced, whether it's when they first walk in, again, during the consultation process, follow-up? Are there areas physically of your location that can maybe be enhanced to give a better client experience? So there are so many things that we can change, not necessarily, like fully give an overhaul to unless we need that, but there are smaller things that you can implement inside your spa or practice right now versus spending the money and the time on bringing in something new. Just remember that better systems create more clients coming through the door, as well as higher retention and higher lifetime value than any new service ever will. Any new clients coming in are going to experience whatever systems you already have in place. So if those aren't completely locked down and polished and absolutely stunning, then you're just kind of wasting money and time trying to get new clients in the door. All right, the next thing that we're going to focus on is becoming comfortable with change. Change is inevitable, and I really would love for you to shift your mindset from change is scary and potentially bad and means that we're doing something wrong, to the fact that change can be powerful. Change is growth. Just think about the fact that where your business starts isn't going to be where your business is in 5 years from now. And I would hope that you would hope that it isn't, because you have grown. That's change. So change isn't bad. It isn't scary. And there are a lot of changes that can potentially feel very scary, but it's always a growth opportunity. Businesses, especially in the beauty industry, have seasons, right? There are slow seasons, there are, kind of rush seasons. It depends too if you're in an area where, let's say, like a bunch of tourists come in for the summer, you might be a little bit busy or busier during that time. So, there are changes just, in our yearly schedule, but also changes in the industry in terms of different regulations and different laws. If you have employees, right, there's changes to employer laws. There are so many things I could go on and on about, and we have to become comfortable with those changes. If you maybe are an employee and you're like looking to go solo, or you just love growing and learning, and so you're listening to this podcast, you're not necessarily an owner, but you're an employee, and maybe you're getting changes from your employer, different salon policies are changing, whatever it might be. You have to become comfortable with it and lean into it, because it's going to teach you something valuable as long as you let it. And if you are an employer who is maybe implementing new changes to your employees, your staff, this is something that I want you to try to instill in them too, because it can be scary as an employee when the salon policies change, or maybe we are doing consultations a completely different way, we have a new service, whatever it might be. That's always change, and it can definitely be intimidating to your staff. There's a way to, have a conversation with them to make them excited about the change, and to let them know that it really is about growth. You have to be flexible when it comes to change, right? Because growth requires flexibility, and a resistance to change is only going to lead to you being stagnant, to not growing, to not learning, and to not expanding. When you grow, you level up, right? You expand into a new version of yourself. Your business expands into a new version of itself, and you really are just evolving. So it is okay to change. It is okay if something is not working for you to say no to it, to maybe get rid of a service that you are not passionate about. That's a change, right? Get rid of a service that you absolutely hate, or that you don't believe in, that you no longer feel like serves you or your clients. Stick to what it is that you're passionate about. Change your menu. It's okay. You can do a rebrand, right? That's a whole change. You want to change your website, your colors, who it is that you're speaking to in your marketing, anything like that. It's always a power move. Change in a direction that elevates you, and take into consideration that you are becoming a better version of yourself and showing up for your business in a way that you and your business deserve. All right, we are on the last one for today, and that is all about your competition. So I really would love for you to kind of focus on the fact that your competition is not your enemy. Competition can be and should be an ally. It should be somebody that you learn from, that helps you grow. And instead of seeing them as somebody who can potentially take all your clients or, you panic over, you should use them as market validation, right? They are there, and maybe you're a new space that just opened in the last, year or whatever it is. You are, down the block from a salon that has been there 15 years. And so maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed by that. How am I going to compete with this very established salon right down the street? And the only thing that you should be taking from that is that they have confirmed by being there for 15 years that there is a need for what they do in your area. And if they can be successful for 15 years, you can be successful for 15 years. And there's a lot that you can learn from them and take away from what has made them so successful and implement it into your business. I'm not saying copy them. I'm saying take what works and see how you can apply that strategy to fit your brand and your message in your business. Okay, you can use each other for inspiration. You can even chat to your competition, right? Talk with them, introduce yourself, lean on each other for support. There might be things that they don't feel comfortable with, even if it's a service that they offer that they, don't really focus on doing, that you do really well, and you can collaborate. You can send each other clients, right? You never know who you're going to meet. Maybe they actually have stuff that they can learn from you because, after being in a business for so long, they might need a fresh kind of take on marketing or branding or what have you. So there are always things that you can learn from other people in your industry, which is why there are so many industry specific events and webinars and things like that, right? Like, we are always trying to evolve and learn from each other. So don't worry if you feel like you have a lot of competition, right? There are so many things that you can do to establish your presence and separate yourself from the competition, which I talk about in another episode and literally will continue to talk about for forever. So stay tuned for even more ideas. But there are so many things that you can do that you really shouldn't have so much concern about your competition. They are your friends. They are proof that your industry, your, whether it's hair, lashes, makeup, whatever it is, they are proof that your community respects it, needs it, wants it, does it, pays for it, right? So I challenge you that next time you catch yourself kind of worrying or talking about the competition, really dive in and see where there might be an opportunity there instead. Okay, so really quick, let's just recap and kind of connect the dots here. So nothing is a waste of time. There's always a lesson, and it's better to seek out the lesson than be weighed down by a feeling of regret or remorse for wasting your time. Your mistakes teach you a lesson. They give you information for you to use to evolve. You don't need more, you need better. Becoming comfortable with change is actually powerful. And competition is not your enemy. They are an ally and a wealth of knowledge and resources. If you're in a season where things maybe feel messy, you feel off track, you feel like things aren't aligning, the books are slow, whatever it might be, and you just feel like things are off, it's okay. It is a season of learning, of growth, and of a lot of opportunity. If you maybe are slower, I want you to reframe that mindset. Okay, I'm throwing in an extra one here, but reframing your mindset from, oh my God, like we're so slow, we're not booked, we don't have a lot of clients, to how can we use this time to better our systems, to maybe go out into the community and market. There are so many things that you can do with that free time. So again, kind of going back to, it's not a waste of time. Don't waste your time. You are the only one that can make a waste of time what that is, right? You are the only one that can do that. So don't waste your time. Use it. Benefit from it. Go do something. So that being said, I just want you to reflect on some of these things where maybe you feel like you can improve or shift your mindset. Are there other areas that I didn't touch on today where it kind of maybe brought something up for you and kind of sparked, hey, I can really reframe my way of thinking around that to be more beneficial and positive and influential to myself and my business? And I would love to know which mindset shift really spoke to you. Find me on Instagram, on TikTok, but mainly Instagram, and drop a comment about listening to this episode. Let me know which one really spoke to you. You can message me any questions that you have, of course. And I just genuinely hope that this gave you a moment of reflection and that you take all of this and kind of, grow, flourish, spread your wings, fly. But yeah, I really hope that this helped you at some capacity. This has taken a lot of mental energy for me to, reset some of the ways that I've been thinking, and it really makes such a huge difference. I can't even explain it. It really changes everything when you start to embrace a lot of what you used to find negative. So I hope that this helps, and I will see you in the next episode.